Hi, and welcome to a special 24 Flicks interview. My name is Marty Jean-Louis, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing and speaking with presidential candidate Dr. Rollan Roberts. Dr. Roberts, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Marty.
So we're going to get to know you today, but before we do, there are a couple of sets of rules. Rule number one is you have to be completely honest. Rule number two, you have to answer the question that is asked. And rule number three is you have to answer the questions within 1 minute. Is that good?
I'm good.
All right.
Let's go.
So, but before we start, I have some icebreaker questions.
Okay.
All right? They're really quick. Pickup truck or sports cars?
Pickup truck.
Pickup truck. Okay. So that gets to us to know who you are.
Yeah. It's got to be a King Ranch, though.
Electric car or gas car?
Oh, gas car.
Gas car. Makes sense with the pickup truck. Okay.
Yeah.
Basketball or football?
Basketball.
Okay. Tacos or pizzas?
Tacos.
Interesting. Android or iPhone?
iPhone. And that says a lot about a person.
Music or podcast?
Music.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Summer. Okay. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Books or movies?
Books.
Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Okay, that includes our icebreaker questions.
Yeah, I think it's because I grew up in the mountains, so I love the beach.
Awesome, awesome. Well, the first question is very simple. Within 1 minute, can you introduce yourself to us?
Sure. I grew up in the West Virginia holler of Beaver and went to college in Knoxville, Tennessee, in Bible College, and then got my MBA from Liberty University, a doctorate of business administration, and then I started in corporate America, running companies and leading companies, and then also moved into government work. I've written 6 books, and married to my wonderful wife Rebecca Lee. We have 1 son born on July 4th, Rollan the 3rd, and I have 2 daughters, 17 and 21. So it's a great life.
Awesome. Check, check, check. Under 1 minute, truthful, and he answered the questions. So let's just keep going. So what motivated you at this particular time to run for president?
The motivation was obedience. It certainly wasn't strategy. I would have waited another decade and kept doing what I was doing until I knew I had everything, all the boxes were checked. But no, it was because I knew that God called me at this moment for such a time at this right now. And I don't know what ends and for what means, but He has a plan.
Awesome. Next question is, how does your faith influence your political choices?
Of every king that Israel had, God said either they did that which was right in the sight of God or they did that which was evil in the sight of God. How my faith influences my policies and positions is I want it to be said of me that I did that which was right in the sight of God. So that is how my faith influences my policies. And all of my policies on our website are tied to Scripture so that you can see this isn't just my ideas of the way things should be. They're rooted in God's Word.
So the next questions are really getting to know some of the reasons and your policies and for running. So the next question, which is, what's your strategy and outlook for winning this election?
Well, God's the one who called me, and faithful is He who called you, who also will do it. So if He wants to set me there, I will be there, no matter what. And if He does not, then that's the last place we ever want to be, is where He is outside of His will. So my outlook is very strong. I have full faith if America has another 9/11 moment, a come to Jesus moment, like what they did after 9/11, I will be the next president of the United States. They will want someone real. They will want someone genuine. They will want someone to lead with wisdom and someone that acknowledges God once again.
So is that the strategy if a 9/11 happens, that you would become president?
I see that moving people in the right direction, their hearts, because right now they're just so enamored by the noise and by politics as usual. But there is a major shift in the political world right now, in our world at large, with millennials and Gen Z. We've never had Gen Z vote before, and they see past a lot of things that Gen X and millennials, and the older generations get caught up in. Gen Z sees right through it. And I believe that most of the candidates running traditional campaigns will be highly ineffective in World War III, or if we are in a major crisis.
Next question is, what is your stance on gun control?
Well, the best gun control is to fix the family, number one. And if you want to have gun control, you've got to start. It starts at home. You have to fix the family. It also goes back to, if you want to fix the culture in America, you have to fix the family. If you want to fix the abortion issues in America, you have to fix the family. We have a lot of laws on the books already. Many of them aren't enforced. Most of the mass shootings in America, the shooters were already on watch lists and should not have had the guns, or should have been watched in the first place, and they weren't. So they're getting past existing checks and balances. And then the second component is we have to start looking into these mind-altering drugs. They didn't exist 30 years and 40 years. So why do we have this increase in mass shootings and school shootings and so forth? We have an increase in these mind-altering drugs that every single mass shooter has been on without exception.
So do you think the laws should really be enforced?
Yes, I believe that laws should be enforced, and I believe that we have to, maybe you take the 87,000 IRS agents, and instead of watching, for every $601 Venmo transaction, why don't you have them monitoring the FBI watch list that we already have?
So next question is, when do you believe life began, and what's your position on abortion?
I believe life begins. Life began at the foundation of the earth, when the earth was created. And God said this clearly with Jeremiah, that before the earth was formed, I called you, and before I formed thee in the womb, I knew you. So life, spiritually speaking, actually begins before conception. So my policies on abortion is that abortion should not be used as birth control. And the abortion procedure that is used sometimes when saving the life of the mother is not abortion in that situation, when they are saving someone. But abortion should not be used as birth control. And that's the part of the problem is that's how it's been used. In cases where states have exception clauses for rape and incest, what I want to see is the perpetrator, I want to see the death penalty enforced for all perpetrators if it results in an exception clause being triggered.
In your view, what's the most pressing issue facing the nation, and what's your solution?
The most pressing issue facing the country right now is that we have forgotten God. Even our churches, Christians, their private faith is publicly irrelevant. So the biggest issue is that we have forgotten God. That's the root cause of all ills and problems in America that we face today. But the second major challenge that we face is the complete breakdown of the family. Society does not correlate properly all of the problems that they cry about, and the fact that it is all directly traced back to the breakdown of the home. And so we have to strengthen marriages. We have to promote marriage once again. We have to promote childbearing once again. And we have to promote healthy marriages and homes again.
Where does the economy fall then?
Well, I'm running on national security, family, and economy. And I can tell you that economy, there's several issues with the economy. You've got to solve the debt and the dollar. You've got to strengthen the dollar. The Treasury should be focused on nothing but that. It's driving up inflation. The de-dollarization is absolutely will destroy America. We have no America without our currency. But beyond that, I focus on energy and education as it relates to the economy. Clean energy, clean coal, natural gas, methane hydrates. We have 9,000 years of methane hydrates in the United States right now at current energy consumption levels. We have to use that, sell that, explore that, and that also helps with the debt and the economy and jobs of tomorrow. And then on the education, I also want to mention nuclear energy, obviously, is a key component to our future energy domination, not just independence. But then education is directly tied to the economy. That's the purpose of education, is so that people can produce, and we have a prosperous nation individually and economically. But I want to have high school years run concurrently with bachelor degrees so that you graduate with a diploma and with a degree, and then that solves the student loan issue. At the same time, they're immediately able to go into the workforce, which adds about 12 years, which is equivalent to 30% to the work life of every American citizen you're adding back into the economy. It absolutely will transform them. It's better for the mental health of our young people. They want to be productive. They want to produce. And when we drag that out and don't let them go directly into the workforce at 18, because we've so heavily promoted college beyond, we are actually hurting them and their mental health.
So in regards to climate change, the Democrats stand on one side, the Republican stands on another side. Where do you stand?
On a completely different side from both of them. It's not, is climate change real? Is climate change not real? Look, whenever God made the sun stand still for Joshua, I'm pretty sure that changed the climate, and I know it changed the tides because they're directly related to the sun and the moon, and the seasons and so forth. And then you look at whenever the global flood. That changed the climate significantly. That was when rain was first introduced to the earth. There had never been rain on the earth before. So that obviously changed the climate. The problem is, if you ask the wrong questions, you get the wrong answers. Right questions get the right answers. So questions are the answers. The answer here on climate is not climate. The answer is environment. You control what you can control. You let go of what you can't. You focus on what you can fix. Let go of what you can't. And so we can fix and focus on the environment. You're not going to do a thing about climate. God controls climate and has from the beginning of time. Environment, we can tend the forest. We can clean the air. We can clean the oceans. We can prevent pollution. Those are the things that we can and must do to thrive on this earth.
And the issues of same-sex marriage and LGBTQ rights, what are your thoughts?
You know, it's not a major topic anymore with the same-sex marriage, but my thoughts on it is that God is very clear on holy matrimony being between a man and a woman. Governments have created, the ability for unholy matrimony and for other type of unions and arrangements, cohabitation arrangements. So how government defines that is each government will do. God defines it, and He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. So in terms of their rights, look, if they're American citizens, it's American rights. The Bill of Rights was not just for Muslims or Christians or atheists or gay people or straight people or this or that and the other. There's not a Bill of Rights for Hispanics and a Bill of Rights for blacks and a Bill of Rights for Christians and a Bill of Rights for Muslims. There's the American Bill of Rights. So if they are an American citizen, they have the same rights that you and I have. And that's part of what we have to get back to as a country is unifying and understanding that is our common ground. It's whenever we try to parse out so many other special exceptions where we start getting into trouble.
If you are just tuning in, we are speaking with presidential candidate Dr. Rollan Roberts, getting to know his policies and who he is. So let's continue with the questions. Do you accept donations from lobbyists or special interest groups? If so, why?
Yeah, we haven't so far had any come in, but it wouldn't bother me if they did, only because if they agree with my message, what won't happen is that they don't get preferential treatment. That was the whole reason that's even a conversation, is because so many special interest groups and lobbyists buy politicians. If you can't be bought, it's irrelevant. And so I think that's ultimately, we're so used to non-principled leaders being politicians that it has made a difference. But I don't need their money. I don't solicit their money. We haven't taken any of their money. But Proverbs is very clear. It is not good for rulers to show favorites and have in the case of judgment. And so money does often taint that kind of you owe me, and we don't want to have anything to do with that.
Could you share with us some of your most significant achievements?
Yeah, the most significant achievement in my life was surrendering and giving my life to Christ. I'll tell you, it was the hardest thing as well. That's why I say it was my biggest, because it took me 36 years. I was 36 years old before September, and I just celebrated my 8-year anniversary, actually, a birthday of awesome. Giving my life to Christ, September 15th of 2015. Before then, I was everything you don't want. I was egotistical, arrogant, whatever was. I was living life my way. And you know, he transformed me, and my life hasn't been the same. So that was the biggest one. Outside of that, my wife, you know, Rebecca, she just an incredible woman. But you know, I'm thankful for a lot of the business success. I turned around a 29-year-old manufacturing company that was declining in revenue every month for 15 straight years. It takes a lot of every skill I had to be able to hold that company together and help it thrive and prosper, turn it around, and written, you know, numerous books and all of the entrepreneurship programs and services that became Rollan College, where we've graduated over 3,000 students across Africa. The clean water initiatives and education things that we've brought to that continent are some of my greatest accomplishments.
What changes would you make concerning the Ukraine-Russia war?
Well, you know, I would majorly focus on solving the issue with China, which is what this really is about. You know, we're doing some things to China using Ukraine, and China's using Russia to do things with us. They're pawns. They're caught in the middle. I can tell you that we are already working. I want peace is what we want, and the problem is how the difference is how you get there. So some of these things they're doing to try to maneuver to force our hand on certain things, and we're trying to force their hand on certain things. So what I am doing, I can tell you what I am doing. I'm helping write Ukraine's new constitution even right now. And we have been working on a post-war reconstruction plan and what that looks like. And there are people on the ground and already in place in a movement there to handle that. We've got to start looking past what the conflict has been and start looking to what you know, what the new Ukraine and Russia relations looks like. And things every day keep getting more complicated with that. Obviously, with Japan's prime minister trying to cozy up more to Kim Jong-un of North Korea because of the most recent trip that he had with Putin. And so there's a lot of geopolitical politics at play. Ultimately, though, we have to start doing right by people. The reason that we keep having issues with Crimea and Belarus and Georgia and now Ukraine with Russia is because we keep dishonoring our word. We keep violating certain assurances that we have given. And so therefore, there is not an innocent party anywhere in this Russia-Ukraine conflict.
I'm going to sneak in a question.
Yeah.
In regards to Iran, President Trump had a deal, and then Biden changed things. What would you do in terms of the nuclear deal?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you know, Biden did run on re-engaging into the nuclear treaty with Iran. But the problem is now Iran wasn't willing, and a lot of factions there did not want the treaty as it was written. And so, you know, I would not re-enter that. Now, a lot of Iranian Americans want the treaty, but there's much, but that's irrelevant because neither party is willing to come to the table on it right now. What you can't have is a nuclear Iran. You know, Revelations mentions 5 countries, and Iran is one of them. We know what the end is, and we know that we have to keep things in check, especially even as it relates to Israel. And that's really our big issue with Iran is their hostile relationship with Israel.
I'm going to sneak in another one. So the Biden administration did a deal with Iran. They swapped 5 prisoners each. But the only difference is there were money that was unfrozen.
Right.
Do you agree with that method?
No, I don't at all, because we all know what they're wanting $6 billion for, just like every amount that they end up settling on, the $2 billion for the last prisoner swap. We know what it's going towards. And of course, I know we're putting it in a special account and we monitor the spending. But here's how this works, Marty. Yes, we monitor the spending, and I'm going to now give our $6 billion to you because you set up this aid for the Iranian people, and you're going to give food and clothing and shelter and really meet the needs. And then you end up giving it to your subcontractors who have great noble causes, who give it to the subcontractors who have great noble causes, so that it ends up in the person who funds the nuclear program. This is all a facade. And that is the sick thing that the American people are tired of. We are done with the facades. We're done with the games, just so you can spout this narrative that we're monitoring it from the top. If you're that naive, you shouldn't be anywhere near the White House.
All right, moving on. What's your economic plan?
Economically, energy development is the foundation of my economic plan. The major thing is we have to get out of debt. And so what I've had to do is back in, how do we get out of debt? How do we negotiate our way out of debt, settle on the debt? And then we do that through trade. We're at a $400 plus billion trade deficit still with China, even after Trump's U.S.-China trade war. But you have to, I'm thinking about the economy of the future. So I got to clean up what's here, and then I've got to focus on the future, which I'm doing through fixing the dollar and reducing the, because it's tanking, obviously, right now, and then de-dollarization, controlling inflation. But then you can't just play defense. You have to play offense, and I'm doing that through the energy and through artificial intelligence. That is the future, and if our children and grandchildren are not well equipped, then we will lose the global economic wars.
So if the election were held today and you were not running, who would you vote for and why?
If I was not running, I would, unpopular opinion, I would vote for RFK Jr., not because we agree on everything, but because he speaks, I know where he stands. Every single other candidate running on both parties are snakes, and I don't trust a single one of them. So anything they say, they are speaking because it is the expedient thing to say or do for who they're talking to or what sound bites and narratives they want out there. It's not who they actually are at their core, and that scares me more than someone that I don't fully agree with. That's why they always say the devil you know is better than the one you don't, and at least I know right where he stands.
As a Republican, how would you assess Donald Trump's presidency?
Donald Trump as president had a lot of great policy that was very good for America and for the economy. Obviously, it led to overturning Roe v. Wade with the Supreme Court picks. So there were a lot of great things. The problem was his presidency was a disaster on spending. And he's just a pompous windbag. I mean, it was his mouth gamified politics. We have to take that back as the people.
I take it you're not a big fan of our former president, Donald Trump. Would you pardon him if you were president?
I would consider pardoning Donald Trump, absolutely. I would also consider pardoning President Biden and former President Obama if they get indicted for things they did as president, because I don't want to see sitting presidents going to prison. That's not a good thing. And people will say, well, no one's above the law. Well, that's really an ignorant statement for people to make, because every single state legislature, when they're in session, their legislators in every state is above the law. If they got caught speeding or something like that, they can't get tickets and so forth when they are in session. So you don't even understand the baseline of the way politics is structured. It is not good for America to be imprisoning presidents. But let me also take the responsibility and say America should not be electing people where this is even a question. You don't elect talking heads and TV pundits and reality TV stars and think you're going to get sound wisdom and judgment. You're going to get characters. You're going to be faced with problems and challenges that we never should have been faced with as a people.
Just to be 100% clear, would you pardon him, yes or no?
I have to see everything, but there's a difference between pardoning and commuting any sentencing. I would not let President Trump go to prison. No, I would not. And if the only way to keep that from happening is to pardon him fully, regardless, I would.
Okay. Have you thought about a potential running mate?
I have, and I'm actually looking outside of the Republican norm. Normally you take a strategic person from the Republican Party, and I'm looking at other options. We're in a different time. I want to unify the country, and you can't say that and then alienate 50+% of the country. It's doublespeak. That's what we are tired of as Americans, and so I want to bring someone that has similar values and principles that I have, but has a different perspective on things. Very similar to whenever I was running companies. As CEO, you want people around you that it's diversity of thought and opinion. But we all wanted to win. We all wanted the company to win. We all had the company's best interest at heart. We knew where we were all coming from. We just had different ways of getting there, and we'd come together and find the best way. That's what I'd like in a vice president.
Are there any names you could share?
None that I can share, but I can tell you there is one in particular that we are in conversation with that it will absolutely shatter the entire political community in both parties.
Okay. In your lifetime, and also your opinion, who has been the greatest president of the United States?
The greatest president in my lifetime has been Ronald Reagan, and I would say that is because of his ability to inspire all Americans. People from both parties voted for Ronald Reagan. He was a great communicator. He could tell stories. He was likable, but it was about his ability to inspire all of America. And we have not had someone who could inspire all of Americans since then. They would inspire elements and factions of America, not all of America.
I'm going to sneak in one more question before I ask you this last question. When people and reporters start digging in your life and your past, what are they going to find? Do you have any skeletons in your closet?
Well, first of all, I'm not perfect. I can tell you that. But whenever I ran for Senate in 2012, they did over $200,000 of opposition research on me. And the only thing they used against me was that in 2005, when I was an executive at ChoicePoint, we had a data breach. We were the first ones to go public with a data breach. It's actually what got me into cybersecurity, national security, and artificial intelligence and defense systems. And so, but I was tasked to help respond to that for the company, and but that wasn't our division that had the breach. But they said, he was incompetent. There was a breach that happened, and of course that was 100,000 names, records, and then since then there's been millions. And today the government is the biggest violator of breaches of personal data. So it was a real problem. But we were dealing with cybersecurity and data breaches, 18 years ago. I would say, before I gave my life to Christ, I lived a CEO lifestyle. I got married when I was 18, 19 years old. It was the first girl that liked me, and so I went along, and we had two wonderful kids. That kept me in the marriage. I actually had filed for divorce 10 months into that marriage, because I was like, I was too young. I didn't know what I was doing. No one said, "Hey, you might want to think about this." Coming from the holler, it was the first girl that liked me, and I just said, "Sure, yeah, let's do this." And God had a plan. Obviously, we have two wonderful daughters, and so and then there was a time when I lost everything. In real estate, and so just absolutely lost everything. I remember having to sell the ceiling fans just to try to get some money to eat and to put in the gas tank. So I've been through trials. I've been through that, the divorce, and I did not hide anything. Even then, anything I did, if I was with other women and everything. Everything was just public. I'd never hidden anything. Even before I gave my life to Christ, what I could not stand was a hypocrite. What I could not stand was someone being inauthentic. And so I didn't care if you said you were a Christian or not. If you got a girlfriend, take her everywhere. Show her off. You're married. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I did not think those things were wrong. See, and so I was focused on making money. The only thing I cared about was being the CEO of a billion-dollar company. And I was willing to sacrifice everything in my life to get there. And I did. In hindsight, that's not the way life is supposed to live. It's one of the reasons why I care so much about family today. I have a wonderful family. I have amazing children and an amazing wife. But I'm telling you, no one told me how important it was that you have a solid marriage, that you invest in that marriage, that you raise kids. The kids need that stability so they don't have mental health problems, so they don't have issues with guns, so they don't take their own life, so they don't turn to drugs. No one put that together for me. And if we must, as a nation and a country, focus on fixing and healing the families and the marriages of America once again.
Awesome. Final question, sir. And talk directly to the American people. What are the top 3 reasons why they should vote for you if it comes to that?
Well, it's coming to that. We're here. And I can tell you, the 3 reasons why I hope to earn every American's vote, your vote, is because I will acknowledge God in America once again. And the reason why that matters to you is because whether you believe in God or not, whether you believe there is one or not, is irrelevant. If we acknowledge God once again, our nation will be blessed. Your family is better off for it, and you don't even know why. There's peace in the land, and there's more happiness, there's more prosperity, there's more health, better family relations. See, people don't even understand why the wayward children and mothers and fathers and home, they don't even understand why there's so many problems, and it's tied to this. And whether you do or don't, America will be blessed because I personally acknowledge God as President of the United States every day. The second reason why you should vote for me is because you will sleep better at night. You will be safer. You'll have more money in your pockets. Your life will be better. And the third reason you should vote for Rollan Roberts for president is because your children will have a much brighter future with me as president because they won't be saddled with the debt that is currently dragging us down, and they will have more education and opportunities than any of us have known in our lifetimes.
Dr. Rollan Roberts, thank you so much for taking the time. There are so many more questions that I would love to ask. We might have to do a part 2 at some point. Thank you so much, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.